Right. So that's the title of the message. Why do bad things happen to good people? Because maybe you've never said that, but maybe you've been like something's happened in your life or you're going through something. Maybe it's right now. And you are just like screaming at the heavens like, why, God, why? Have any of you guys experienced that? Anybody going through that right now? Is this message just for me? Okay. Yeah. God does that sometimes. So, how many of you guys, it's probably not, it's probably just the first service with this. And we reached a lot of them this morning and got them straight. So you'll be happy to hear that.
Good deal.
But how many of you guys have, you fall into this hole of like just thinking negative way more than you think positively? Like you notice like all the bad things going on. In fact, you may wake up in the morning expecting more bad things to happen. Anybody? Yeah. And we tend to. It's like just a part of being human. How many of you guys are human? How many humans we got here today? A few. It is so easy to think negative. We just get in this negative mind loop that just goes over and over again. In fact, did you know the University of Kentucky did this study? And they found that that momentum picks up when you start thinking of something negative or positive. It takes just 17 seconds for that to pick up momentum. It's like a snowball effect. And if you allow yourself to think of something negative for 17 seconds, your mind will go from one negative thing to the other until you like forcefully stop that snowball. How many of you have ever thought about something negative for more than 17 seconds? Okay, a couple of you guys. Okay, some of you are like, I stop it at 16 and a half seconds. I make sure. No. Now, but it's also positive. If you start thinking something positively, it's a snowball for 17 seconds, you can keep that going. Now, they also found, University of Kentucky, they found that there's 3 things that can help stop that cycle, that can break it. One is breathing. Anybody ever heard of box breathing? You've heard my message, talk about it. They do it with the Navy SEALs. They do it with, I think every branch of the military now, where it's breathing to calm yourself down. Now, I believe that our breath is the borrowed breath of God. So it makes sense to me that God gave us a tool that can allow us to kind of just settle and kind of get out of these stressful moments. And what box breathing is you breathe in for 4 seconds, you hold your breath for 4 seconds, you breathe out for 4 seconds, hold your breath for 4 seconds, and you just keep that cycle going you can just do it one time. It helps just one time. They found that helps break that negative loop cycle. Second thing is sleep. When you go to sleep, like you turn your mind off. Now, that makes sense to me because you ever met somebody that's really depressed or you go through a really depressed time and all you want to do is sleep? Your body wants to shut down and wants to go to sleep. There's a reason. God made us like that. Here's the downside to that. A lot of times we'll go to sleep and then when we wake up, we pick up that negativity right where we left it. The third thing, and I want to remind you this is a secular college. This is not a Bible college. But they found the third thing that can break this negative loop is prayer. Time, like thinking about and speaking to your higher power, speaking to God, that time in prayer. Isn't that crazy? So this college didn't go like, yeah, we're a Bible college, so we got to throw prayer in the end of it or somewhere. Yeah, tell somebody if they read the whole book of Psalms, that's what they won't have this negative mindset again. No, it wasn't anything like that. University of Kentucky. My wife's home state came up with did this research and found one of the things that stops negativity is prayer. I'd say prayer is a pretty big thing, right? Maybe bigger than what we even thought it was. Now, how many of you guys have a car? Can I borrow it? No. Brian, what kind of vehicle do you drive? Chevy truck, Silverado? All right. Now, there's not many hills here. There's not many mountains here in Florida. All right. Where's a place that we could go if we were going to visit, we were going to go on vacation, where there's like mountains and cliffs and hills?
West Virginia.
All right, let's do West Virginia. Now, let's say Brian and I take a vacation to West Virginia. I have no idea why. And we get there and we took Brian's Chevy Silverado. Now, we are parked on a cliff. We were parked like a slant. And Brian is feeling a little adventurous. He says, "Hey, Jimmy, I just want to test this gravity thing out. You know, I've heard about it. I learned about it in school, but I've been wanting to test this out. So what I want you to do is I want you to get in my Chevy Silverado. I'm going to stand right here behind it, like a foot away. You put it in neutral, and when it backs up, I'm going to stop it with my weight." Not a big deal. It's just like a foot away, right? He'd be able to do that. Now, so say Brian did that. And he is like, "I am a bass player, for goodness sake, and we can do anything. And I want to really feel this rush." So he walks down that cliff 17 seconds. "Jimmy, do this again. Put it in neutral." Now, obviously, after I put it in neutral, I'm jumping out of the truck. Nice knowing you, Brian. After that picks up 17 seconds, that truck, by the time it gets to Brian, do you think he's going to be able to stop it? No. It's going to look kind of like this. Can we got a picture of the of a truck? It's just going to keep on going. Not a Chevy Silverado, but it's going to work out the same. Yeah, it's not going to work because it has momentum behind it. And when we give that momentum, when we can constantly think of that, of negative things over and over again, it just builds more and more momentum. So the longer we do that, the harder it is to stop. And so many of us, we've been doing this for so long. We got years built up from it. And we just kind of think, okay, people tell me to think positive, and I'm supposed to think positive, and why can't I just think positive? Why can't I just do it? Why can't I just do it? Well, there's a reason. Because the average person, if you're average, the average person, some of you may be more, some may be less, the average person has over 50,000 thoughts a day. All right? I've never counted them all, but 50,000. Now, here's the bigger thing. This is the eye-opening thing. 95% of those things are the same ones from the day before. How many of that you think of the same thing over and over again? Yeah. Now, that means that out of those 50,000 thoughts, only 2,500 of them are new. So what that tells me is it's a process. This getting from a negative mindset to a positive mindset, it may not happen overnight, but we have 2,500 new thoughts that's going to enter our head tomorrow. We have the choice. Are we going to make them positive or are we going to make them negative? And eventually, those positive thoughts will overtake those negative. Positive mindset can increase your lifespan up to 7 years. 85% of people who have a positive mindset on life experience have significantly less depression and anxiety. That's common sense. People with a more positive mindset can tolerate up to 50% more pain than somebody that has a negative mindset. So the next time somebody goes, "Yeah, I have a low threshold for pain," say, "Hey, you need to think positive. Don't do that. They may hit you." Now, University of Kansas did a study, and they found that by smiling, and get this, even if it's a fake smile. Everybody give me a fake smile. Some of y'all's fake smiles are scary. Smiling, it reduces your heart rate and your blood pressure during stressful situations. So if you're like, I can do this breathing thing. I don't got no time for box breathing. I don't got time to do that. Just do a fake smile. For real. According to the University of Kansas, just a smile, even if it's fake, will reduce stress and will reduce your heart rate and your blood pressure. Pretty amazing. Dr. Shayla Morgan, she says positivity is like a cold. You ever been around positive people, and then you leave that room, and you're like, man, I feel so good. On the other side of that, you ever been around just a bunch of negative people, and everything's negative, and when you leave that room, you are like, I need to take a nap. Yeah, because it spreads. University of Kansas also found this about positivity. It increased lifespan, lowers rates of depression, lowers level of distress and pain, greater resistance to illness, better psychological and physical well-being, better cardiovascular health, and reduced risk of death from cardiovascular disease and stroke, reduced risk of death from cancer, reduced risk of death from respiratory conditions, reduced risk of death from infections, better coping skills during hardships. So it's probably going to benefit us if we can start thinking a little more positively. Anybody else other than Jimmy Lloyd could use a little more positivity in their thoughts? Yeah, it's me and one other person. But hey, we're gonna leave here changed. Everybody else is just here to witness it. I have a friend that has a 5-year-old daughter, and they live right across the street from a park. And she loves, like, her highlight of the day is to get to go to that park. They go almost every day. I was over at their house, and my friend, his wife, told the little girl, said, hey, why don't you get ready? We'll go over to the park. She got super excited, went and changed, got dressed. When she came out, it started raining. And this is Florida. And it will just rain for no reason. And I thought, I'm about to hear a 5-year-old girl cry. Something very unique happened. When she walked out and saw it was raining, they had a big sliding glass door, and she went to that sliding glass door, that window, and she put her hands on the glass, and I thought, okay, here it comes. And when she put her hands on the glass, she just started going, star, 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 star. And I thought, this is the craziest crying I've ever heard. And I asked my friend, I was like, why does she keep saying star? He goes, she does that every time it rains. Because she discovered when it rains and the drops of the water hit the concrete, and when they splatter, it looks like a star. And I think we have a picture of some raindrops. But I thought, how many of you ever thought of that before? Now, every time it rains, I watch the drops hit the concrete. Star, star, star. You can learn a lot from a 5-year-old. Because we get all this stuff going on that we don't stop and just see the positivity in life. We just look at the negative. She could have been so upset that she didn't get to go to the park, her favorite thing to do. But instead, she chose to sit there and watch the stars that the rain made. So if we can do that, if we can see the positivity in things even when things don't go as planned, and how different can that change our lives? Seeing drops of rain like stars. So that brings us to today's story. Because there's this old story about a man named Job. Some people say it's the oldest story ever told. Now, Job, he's a good man. In fact, the storyteller goes out of his way to let us know that Job is the greatest man in his whole part of the earth. Now, Job's not only a good man, but he's a wealthy man. He has land, he has crops, he has animals, he has servants, and he has a house full of kids. But in this story, Job loses it all. Half of his wealth is stolen, the other half burned up and is in ashes. In a tragic fashion, his kids are all killed. And if that isn't more heartache than one can handle, we find Job sitting in the ashes of all that he has lost, and he gets this illness where these big boils start coming up all over his skin. And we find Job with this shard of pottery just scratching these boils with it, trying to get some kind of relief. And if that wasn't bad enough, the person that you would think would be there to support him more than anybody else, his wife comes to him and says, "You're still holding on to your integrity? Why don't you just curse God and die?" And who knows, when it's the most painful when those things come from the people that you love or that you're closest to the most, because it kind of comes out of nowhere. Now, something that I've never really paid much attention to or looked at and it really came up during our home group on Friday. We want to kind of paint Job's wife as the villain here, and rightfully so. That it has to be. I can't imagine if there's times Julie's got pretty mad at me. Like I know you just think, oh, she's just a good old country girl, and Jimmy has it made. But there are times, yeah, like when I don't put like something up where it's supposed to go, or I drink too much milk, stuff like that. But I can't ever imagine her coming saying, "Why don't you just curse God and die? Why don't you? It'd be better off. Why don't you just die?" But here's Job. He has these boils all over him. He's lost everything. He's lost his kids. But a lot of times we don't even take the time to pay attention. Like, how about her? Like, what is she going through? I mean, here's this mother who has also lost her kids. She's also lost her home. She's also lost everything. And how many of you guys have been in a place where you, because of the stress, because of everything piling up on you, you say things, and it's usually to those that are closest to us. You say things that you never thought you would say. You've acted in ways you promised yourself you would never act. I'll never be like him. I'll never be like her. And there you are, and you get to a place without even realizing it where you don't even recognize who you are. And no doubt, Job's wife was in that place. And I'm not saying, hey, let's give her a break. Hey, But I found something interesting, too, with this. If you read to the end of the story, Job and his wife stay together. They get redeemed. They have more kids. And then I find this interesting, because a little bit later in the story, Job's friends come and talk to him. You don't see anywhere where Job was like, "Don't talk to me like that, woman." We don't see anything. When Job's 3 friends and eventually 4 come around, he's not around them going, "Listen, let me tell you what my wife just said to me. She's a terrible woman. I just want to tell you this." No, you don't see that anywhere. Job there's no even reaction to this. Listen, yes, this is a story that happened to some people some time ago, but this is also a story about you and a story about me. Because, see, in this story, Job is the picture of Jesus. And I hate to say it, my friends, but you and I, we're the wife. And how many times have we been in a place where, God, I don't need you. God, if this is how my life's going to be with you, I might as well just do my own thing. And we get so mad at God. And we take things out of God and we blame things. God, how could you ever let this happen? But yet he don't hold that against us. Yet he deals with us in a place of grace and of love, which no doubt that's where Job was with his wife. He wasn't like, "I'm going to show you curse God and die." Yeah. If I'm going to go, you're going to go first, lady. No, we don't see that. So in this picture, Job is the picture of Jesus. We're the picture of the wife. Then Job's 3 friends come and they sit around and they talk. They discuss all the things that are going on. They come and sit with him. They give their opinions about why Job's going through what he's going through, why he's suffering the way he's suffering. Because that's what we want when we go through hard times, right? We want answers. We want to know, why do good things happen? Why do bad things happen to good people? I go to church. I give in the offering. I'm nice to people. I wave. I say hi. I introduce myself. Why do bad things keep happening to me? We want answers. When we suffer, we want answers. We want to know why. Why? Is it just fate? Is it just chance? Is it bad luck? Is it some sort of divine judgment? Are we just some cosmetic game to somebody? And so they give their answers and give their explanations, and Job defends himself, and they give their opinions, and Job comes back with his perspective on everything, and they debate, and they discuss, and they question, and they confront. But at the end of this, after everybody has said their piece, then God speaks. And when God speaks out of the whirlwind, which I find very ironic because we just experienced here in our area these tornadoes, these whirlwinds that provided a lot of destruction. So when we think of whirlwind, here comes destruction. But in this whirlwind, God speaks to Job. And God asked Job this: "Who is this that darkens my counsel with words without knowledge? Brace yourself like a man, Job, and I will question you, and you will answer me. Where were you when I laid the earth's foundation? Tell me if you understand, Job. Who marked off the dimensions? Surely you know. Who stretched a measuring line across it? On where was its footings laid? Were you there when I laid the cornerstone? While the morning stars sang and the angels came together and they shouted in joy? Were you there? Who shut up the seas behind the doors when it burst from its womb? When I made the clouds its garment and wrapped it in thick darkness? When I fixed its limits for it and set its doors and bars in place? When I said to the ocean, no farther will you go, your mighty wave will halt here." Job, answer this. Have you ever given orders to the morning? Kind of a strange question, right? Have you ever given orders to the morning? Or shown the dawn its place, that it might take the earth by the edges and shake the wicked out of it? Hey, Job, have you journeyed to the springs and the seas or walked in the recesses of the deep? Job, have you been taken? Have you seen the gates of darkness? Have you seen the gates of the shadow of death? Do you know where they're at? Have you comprehended the vast expanses of the earth? Tell me if you know this, Job. What is the way to the abode of light? And where does darkness reside? Can you take them to their places? Do you know the paths of their dwelling? Surely you know, for you are already born. You live so many years, Job. Imagine God's talking to you like, can't answer those questions. So much sarcasm, saying it in such a poetic way. What is the way to the place where lightning is dispersed, or the place where the east winds are scattered over the earth? Let me ask you this, Job. Does the rain have a father? Does the rain have a father? Who fathers the drops of dew? From whose womb comes the ice? Who gives birth to the frost of the heavens when the waters become hard as stone, when the surface of the deep is frozen? Job, can you bind the chains of Pleiades? Can you loosen Orion's belt? Can you bring forth the constellations in their seasons, or lead out the bear with its cub? Job, do you know the laws of heaven? Can you set up dominion over the earth? Is that something you can do, Job? Tell me. Do you send the lightning bolts on their way? Do they report to you, Job? Do the lightning bolts go, "Hey, Job, here we are with the lightning bolts"? Is that something that goes on? Do you hunt the prey of the lioness and satisfy the hunger of the lions when they crouch in their dens or lie in their wait in a thicket? Who provides food for the raven when its young cry out to God and wonder about the lack of food? Tell me this, Job. Do you know when the mountain goat gives birth? Yeah, do you know? Do you know when the doe gives birth to her young? Do you know how many months it is? Do you know the time? Do you know the place? Do you count the days, Job? They crouch down and bring forth their young. Their labor pains are ended. Their young thrive and grow strong in the wilds. They leave and do not return. Hey Job, who set the wild donkeys free? Who loosened its reins so it roams the earth? It laughs at the commotion in town. It hears no command from the rider. For I have given the wilderness for its home. Job, will the wild ox consent to serve you? Will he stay by your manger at night? The wings of the ostrich, they flap joyfully, though they cannot compare to the wings and the feathers of the stork. She lays her eggs on the ground and lets them warm in the sand, unmindful that a foot may crush them, that some wild animal may trample on them. She treats her young harshly as they're not even hers. She cares not that her labor was in vain, for God did not endow her with wisdom and give her share of good sense. Yet when she spreads her feathers to run, she laughs at horse and rider. So, speaking of horses, do you give the horse its strength? Did you clothe its neck with a flowing mane? Do you make it leap like locusts, striking terror in its proud snorting? It paws fiercely, rejoicing in its strength, and charges into the fray. Does the hawk take flight by your wisdom and spread its wings towards the south? Does the eagle soar at your command and build its nest on high? It dwells on a cliff and stays there at night. A rocky crag is its stronghold. From there it looks for food. Its eyes detect it from afar. Its young ones feast on blood where the slain. There it is. How is Job supposed to answer that? Then he says, will the one who contends with the Almighty correct him? Let him who accuses God answer him. And he allows Job to speak. We can have, Alan, you can come back up here. Job answers God, and he says, and the only way that I think that you could, I'm unworthy. How can I reply to you? I put my hand over my mouth. How many of us could benefit sometimes for knowing when to put our hand over our mouth? Many of us have been to places where we wish we would have put our hand over our mouth. How many this morning, something happened, you wish you would have put your hand over your mouth? I can name at least 5 times since I've been on stage. Job says, I spoke once, but I have no answer. Twice, but I will say no more. We want answers, don't we? How many of you guys, you came here today and you want answers? You came here today and you expected an answer to why you're going through what you're going through. Because you've been going through it for so long, you're like, I can't take it anymore. I've had enough. And if God doesn't give me the answer today, I'm out. I'm not doing this God thing anymore. And can I tell you, if that's where you are at, there's no shame in that, because if we're all honest, we've all been there. Why? Because we're human. And there's times when we go through something, and the most human response, the best human response you can give is to close your fist and rage towards the heavens and demand, I want answers for what I'm going through, God. Why do I have to keep going through this? Why do these things continue to happen to me? But see, true wisdom, The kind of wisdom that we find in Job. The kind that endures, the kind that sustains a person through suffering. Well, that kind of wisdom knows when to speak and knows when to be silent. Because sometimes the most powerful thing that we can do is be silent and realize, you know what? There may be more going on than we even realize, than I even know. Because it comes down to this. Do we trust him? How many of you've given your life to Jesus? You are in Christ. You have declared him as Lord. If you haven't done that, if you have not done that yet, I am telling you, it's the most life-changing thing that you could do. And there's no better time than right now. See, often there's so many of us, we are in Christ. We have given our life. He is our Savior. He is our Lord. But the trust isn't quite there. How many of you ever been through something and you thought, this is life-changing, this is life-altering, my life will never be the same. I got to do something right now to fix the situation because I can't go on. But then a little later down the line, you realize, oh, wait, there was a benefit for going through that. How many of you've gone through those things and you don't even think about them anymore? I saw a statistic one time, and it said that most of the things, it was like 95% of the things we worry about never happen. And then it was like something even higher, like 99% of the things that happen won't even affect us 5 years from now. Obviously, there's some things that do. But do you really believe that your Heavenly Father has only good things for you? Do you believe, just as the way that Job showed grace and love to his wife when she said, why are you holding on to any integrity? There's no dignity there. She's seen him suffering for a while. So, why don't you just curse God and die? Like, you don't need God. Things are falling apart with God. No doubt she was at the place where she herself, maybe she did curse God and was waiting to die. But she was at a place where her life wasn't worth going on. And out of hurt and out of anger, she says what I could think is the worst thing that you could say to a loved one going through those hard times. Yet Job, he didn't dwell on it from anything that we can read, and he dealt with it with grace and love. He didn't leave her. And at the end, God redeemed them of all that they have lost. Plus, and a lot of times, we'll go out, we'll come to church, and we're so wrapped up in what we're going through, and we walk in and we go, I can't believe nobody said hi to me. I said hi to L-Dog, and he just looked at me and kind of gave me a thumbs up. I guess he don't like me. In the cafeteria, Lee was passing out donuts, and she gave CC the jelly donut. I wanted the jelly donut. She gave CC the jelly donut, and I had to get the powder donut. She knows I like jelly donuts. So I'm just going to give her a dirty look. But what we don't realize is there's some people here, just the fact that they got out of bed and got dressed and walked out the door and walked through the doors of the church was a victory for them. And we are so focused about whether they said hi, whether they introduced themselves, whether they looked at me, whether they gave me a hug. And not even thinking, what are they going through? What hurt are they working out of? Because we get so focused on our hurt. And we're so quick to pick up offense. Can I just tell you this? I want you guys just take a minute, look around at everybody that's here. I don't care if it's your first time here. I don't care if you don't normally come to church here. Look around. See, look at all the people. God did this. God put all of us together. something about you and something about me. God looked at us and said, well, I need to get those people together. And here you are. And there may be something the person sitting next to you is going through that you, not Pastor Jimmy, not Pastor Mark, not Bob Dameron, not JD, but you. Could be you, JD. I don't want to be pick on you. You could be a difference maker in them. But if we just focus on what happens right away, we so-and-so, they sat in the seat I always sit in. They wouldn't even scoot down. They made me sit in the middle. If they would have just scooted down, I could have sat on the end. They know I got an issue with my bladder and I had to go to the bathroom a lot, but they just still made me sit in the middle. Well, it's on them because now I'm going to have to cross them 5 times during this service. We get so focused on that, and we lose sight that they're just trying to get through life. They're trying to make it as well. They got things going on as well. And we can be that difference maker. We could be the person. Positivity is like a cold. We can be the person that spreads that positivity. Or you can be that person that gets somebody else in that negative mind loop that just continues and goes on and on and on. And let me tell you, friends, let me tell you, family, there's enough negativity out there. We don't need it from each other. Because if we're looking for negativity, that's easy to find. But positivity is a difference maker. And you can start that. So my friends and family of Fairlawn Church, I want you to know this. I don't care who you are, your story is not over. Somebody needs to hear that. Your story is not over. The last words have not been spoken, and there is way more going on than you even realize. Don't give up. Your Heavenly Father has good things for you in the future. He has good things for you right now. Can you look at the rain and see the drops of stars? Because that's what I believe we're supposed to do. So may you be released from always having to understand why everything happens the way it does. May this freedom open you up to all sorts of new perspectives. And may you have the wisdom to know when to say, I spoke once, but now I will say no more. Grace and peace, my friends. I love you.